The phrase du jour, soul ties. You know, the Christian version of spiritual duct tape applied to literally everything involving sex, emotions, or just vibes in general. But is it accurate? Let's talk about it. Hey everyone, I'm Colin, the Resident Nerd and Bible Scholar here at the Bible Uncut and Unfiltered. Let's start with what soul ties originally meant, because this phrase didn't come from just nowhere. It's usually used to describe an intense bond between people with shared purpose or deep connection. Nothing inherently sexual. A classic example of this would be David and Jonathan in 1 Samuel, where it says that their souls were knit together. That's camaraderie, loyalty, shared mission, not necessarily sexual. If it were sexual, youth pastors would have absolutely stopped using that verse immediately. So, originally, soul ties is a relatively harmless idea. It's not exactly scientific, but it's poetic. Then, evangelical purity culture got a hold of it, and all of a sudden soul ties changed in meaning. It became any time two people have sex, they form a permanent spiritual bond. You leave a piece of your soul with that person. They leave a piece of their soul with you. And if you do this more than once, well, congratulations, you are now spiritually fragmented. And not in an R-rated way, but actually in a much, much creepier way. This idea was weaponized to shame people, usually women, who had sex with more than one person. And it was taught like absolute biblical truth. Except, it completely collapses under even just basic consideration. Here's an example. Imagine someone who waited until marriage, only had sex with their spouse, and then their spouse dies. They later remarry. According to soul tie logic, do they still have a soul tie with the deceased spouse? Are they now incapable of forming a full bond with the new spouse? Does God issue a spiritual refund? Is there a celestial soul reassembly department? Honestly, it's all nonsense, but this was taught so seriously, and worse, it causes real harm. Now, let me be clear. Sex is a physical act. No duh. Emotion and passion often play a role. No duh. But not always. Some people can have casual sex without emotional attachment. Some people can't. Some people are only sexually attracted to people that they already feel emotionally close to. There's actually a term for that. It's called demisexual. None of that is sinful or holy by default. It's just how humans are wired differently from each other. Purity culture then flattened all of that complexity into one terrifying message. If you have sex, you are permanently damaging yourself. And that's just not biblical. It's also not psychologically true. For many people, sex does involve emotional connection, but connection does not mean depletion. If I hang out with one friend on Monday, I don't have less of myself to give to another friend on Tuesday, even if the thing we do together on Monday is a physically intense activity like a sport, or an emotionally intimate activity like sharing trauma or vulnerability. Humans are not finite soul containers. Love is not a non-renewable resource. Neither is intimacy. And the Bible never teaches that sex irreversibly fractures your soul. Not once. No verse says your soul is divided by sexual experience. Not a single one. No verse says God permanently withholds wholeness. Never. Not one says second intimacy is always lesser intimacy. All of that theology says way more about control than it does holiness. Now, morality aside for the moment, here's the real issue that most people don't talk about. And as a therapist, I want to tell you this. People suck at communication. Like, we are stunningly bad at it. Especially when it comes to sex, expectations, boundaries, emotions, and the aftermath. So, yeah, many people who casually hook up probably have not thought through pregnancy, attachment, what kind of relationship exists afterward, if any, or how differently each person might experience the same encounter. But that's not a soul problem. That's a communication problem. And purity culture didn't solve it. Like purity culture does, it just made everything worse by replacing honest conversation with spiritual fear tactics. So let me say this very clearly for the folks in the back. You are not spiritually broken because you had sex before marriage. You did not give away irreplaceable parts of yourself. You are not less whole, less lovable, or less capable of deep connection, no matter what someone says from behind a pulpit. Soul ties is Instagram therapy language for having a meaningful bond, something humans have done forever. And sometimes sex creates strong feelings, and sometimes it doesn't. Those feelings are worth talking about, whether you're married or not, but they do not define your worth. They do not define your spiritual completeness, and they definitely don't mean you failed God. The real damage wasn't sex. The damage was telling people that their bodies, desires, and histories made them permanently damaged. That's not holiness. That's shame. Now, I know many of you listening to this have strong opinions about sex, both inside and outside of marriage, and some of you probably even have a list of biblical proof texts to back up your position. Now, I purposefully did not get into all of that in this video today because that would be way too long for this format. This concept of soul ties, as it has been used by evangelical purity culture, is completely inaccurate, and it has done immeasurable harm. And I think we can all agree, regardless of where you land on any particular belief, that what we are believing as Christians should be promoting good instead of harm. Even Jesus said, "You will know them by their fruits." The fruit of evangelical purity culture and soul tie language has been undeniably harmful and rotten. It's time we find better ways to talk about sex as Christians.